Mr. Patel, has the Global Alliance for Responsible Media ever required that your company, Unilever, avoid advertising on any platform or website?
No, sir.
Mr. Jules, same question. Has the Global Alliance for Responsible Media ever required Group M to avoid advertising on any platform or website?
No, sir.
Mr. Jewell, has your company's participation in the Global Alliance for Responsible Media ever restricted your company's advertising decisions in any way?
No, it's completely optional.
Excuse me?
GARM is completely optional.
Thank you, Mr. Patel. Same question to you.
Yeah, it's completely voluntary.
Professor Waller, one of the goals of the Global Alliance for Responsible Media is to avoid having companies' advertising dollars funding online and offline harm, like the creation and dissemination of commercially exploitative and explicit images of children, or the funding of terrorism groups, or the promotion and dissemination of explicit images and depictions of crime outside of news stories and reporting. Is there any U.S. law that requires companies to advertise on every website and every platform?
No, there's not. A company can individually choose to do business or not do business with an advertiser, advertising agency, or a platform.
Is there any law that requires companies to support, through advertising dollars, speech, content, or statements that they don't believe in?
There's no antitrust law that deals with that.
What would be the consequences if there were?
I can say that the Supreme Court has, expressed concern and not imposed liability. They typically don't force companies to do business with each other if they don't wish to. They're frankly more concerned about cartel agreements and the other thing rather than forcing companies to continue to do business if they don't wish. They wish to encourage unilateral decisions about how to proceed in the real world as each company thinks best.
And that's what the Supreme Court has said.
Yes.
And what do you think about getting the Supreme Court for the moment, what do you think about the effects of such a law?
We want companies, the antitrust laws really do a couple of things. They prevent agreements that unreasonably harm competition. They prevent single firms from abusing their power, and they prevent mergers and acquisitions that can lead to either of those other problems I've already outlined. That's what the antitrust laws do. They don't generally micromanage the decisions of corporations as they decide what's best for them in the market.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I must note once again that this sham investigation has revealed that these companies have broken no competition law. The investigation never should have started, but it certainly should have ended after the committee spoke to a representative of GARM and learned exactly what we all should know by now, that there is no basis for a claim of antitrust harm. But that does not mean that this investigation is harmless. The committee's power has been used to bully, intimidate, and impoverish any organization or company that dares to disagree with so-called conservative speech, in quotes. Speech that in many cases causes and spreads harm both online and offline. And I believe that that is exactly the purpose of this investigation, to misuse the power of this committee to bully, intimidate, and impoverish any organization or company that dares to disagree with so-called conservative speech. In other words, to intimidate the exercise of free speech, to impoverish organizations, to improperly use the power of this committee to force organizations to spend themselves into poverty and thereby to inhibit and deter exercise of free speech. This is a gross misuse of the power of this committee. We have an opportunity, Mr. Chairman, to have a constructive conversation about antitrust law and how we can help the American people. But unfortunately, this hearing is not it. This hearing is an exercise in intimidation of free speech, and it's shameful.